Denver Airport is the strangest place in the entire world. Between its enormous size, bizarre design features, and apocalyptic artwork, there's a pervasive feeling that something just isn't quite right. Whether it's lizard people, the Illuminati, or YouTubers who trap their writers in basements, no comments on that one, just something off about Denver International Airport. But what exactly is it? What strange conspiracy theories does this unconventional air hub hide within its walls and beneath its concrete? And when you start to peel back the curtain, do these conspiracies remain mere theories, or do they become fact? Well, it's time to dust off the tinfoil hats and take your medication, because we're going hunting for the truth that they don't want you to know. So let's fasten our seatbelts while I give you the safety briefing on the background and basics of Denver Airport before we get into why it's so monumentally weird. Denver International Airport, known by both codes DEN and DIA, is located roughly 20 miles or 30 kilometers from downtown Denver in the great and square state of Colorado. It makes sense that Colorado was one of the first US states to legalize recreational marijuana because up here near the Rocky Mountains, we're getting pretty high. Oh, Ollie. I don't know how I feel about that joke. Surfshark are the wonderful people sponsoring today's episode. Have you ever connected to airport Wi-Fi and suddenly feel like you're just asking for trouble? I mean, those airport Wi-Fi, it's like free airport Wi-Fi. Or like free, I was in Gatwick Airport yesterday. It's like Gatwick Wi-Fi free. And you're like, okay, that could be Gatwick, or it could just be someone pretending to be Gatwick who's literally stealing all your information while you think you're browsing the internet, but you're going through their laptop and they're like, your bank account info is now mine. Look, I use Surfshark to avoid all of that, to protect myself. It's a VPN and it protects your data when you're traveling or just honestly existing. I mean, on the internet, it's not going to protect you in real life. That sort of protection's a lot more expensive. It keeps your info encrypted, hides your location, and even lets you virtually hop countries to unlock shows or snag cheaper prices when booking flights. It works on unlimited devices, phone, tablet, laptop, all covered, and there's no logs, there's no tracking. It's just smoother, safer, better internet. Head to surfshark.com/places or use the code PLACES at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN for free. Back to today's episode. Denver, the city, has an elevation of 1,609 meters or 5,300 feet above sea level. They call Denver the Mile High City for a reason, and we're not even in the air yet. Roughly located in the center of the United States and boasting a variety of natural attractions such as skiing, Denver serves as both a strategic hub for connecting flights across the vast country and a destination in its own right. The state recognized this potential, yet until the 1980s it failed to fully capitalize on it. Air travel was becoming more accessible and affordable than ever, but Denver didn't have an airport capable of handling tens of millions of passengers each year. Instead, it relied on Stapleton Airport. Now, don't get me wrong, Stapleton was serviceable, but its origins stretch back to 1929, when it was known as Denver Municipal Airport. It had grown and expanded over the years, yet by 1980s it faced a fair number of problems. Firstly, it was pretty small, and trends at the time suggested that air travel was only going to become cheaper. Moreover, expanding on the original site would have been challenging. Local communities were beginning to file noise complaints, and there simply wasn't enough room to accommodate new airlines and destinations. All of these factors together placed a hard limit on what an airport in Denver could ultimately achieve. It also had a pair of parallel runways situated too close together for safe landings during bad weather, a condition that occurs quite frequently at this high elevation, roughly 150 days a year. During the 1970s and 80s, several high-profile crashes in adverse weather conditions resulted in many fatalities and injuries. Due to these safety risks, the number of arrivals per hour, which was intended to be around 80, sometimes barely reached 36, another factor that ultimately limited Denver's ability to become a true air travel hub. To circumvent these issues and plan for the future, it was decided that a new airport should be built, with construction beginning in 1989. Although there were naysayers at the time claiming that a new airport simply wasn't needed in Denver, these voices would later help fuel conspiracy theories. And now, if you'll just allow this to become a mega projects video for just 1 second, we need to talk about the grand scale involved in building Denver Airport. The new site for Denver Airport covers approximately 53 square miles or 137 square kilometers. For reference, Disney World spans 39 square kilometers or a little over 101 square miles. Meanwhile, the world's busiest airport, Atlanta, is located on a site that's just over 7 square miles or about 18 square kilometers. So you might be wondering, well, what's with all the extra land? Today, Denver stands as the second largest airport on the entire planet. It is genuinely enormous, some would argue unnecessarily so. But hold that thought because we're going to be coming back to it later. Over 84 million cubic meters of dirt and rock were removed to flatten the landscape, enough for an airport. This amount represents about a third of all the excavation carried out to create the Panama Canal that cuts through a continent. In addition, 2.2 million cubic meters of concrete was laid to construct 6 state-of-the-art runways. 5 of these runways measure 12,000 feet or 3,657 meters, while one extends 16,000 feet. That's roughly 3 miles, making it the longest commercial airway in North America. It's about 5 kilometers? Good lord. It was even capable of the world's first simultaneous triple landing, thanks to what is considered one of the most sophisticated air traffic control towers in the entire country. As the mid-90s approached, Denver Airport neared completion. It featured an iconic tented roof designed to evoke the nearby Rocky Mountains, and the project was completed in 1995, approximately 16 months behind schedule, and a staggering $2 billion over budget. The total cost came to $4.8 billion, which when you adjust for inflation is about $9 billion today. It's quite expensive. But other than the tiny $2 billion sized detail, Denver Airport is everything you could ever want in an air travel hub. It's expansive, with multiple floors that lead prospective passengers toward pricey provisions. There's ample parking and drop-off zones, as well as a metric plane load of stores, lounges, cafes, and restaurants to help you pass the time while you wait for your flight. And of course, it has all the classic airport features: check-in desks, security, 169 different gates, and even a train that shuttles travelers from the main Jefferson terminal to all 3 concourses. It was also better equipped for the weather. The heat and altitude during the summer meant the planes needed longer distances to take off, which is where the extended runways come into play, and the airport snow program is considered by many to be world-class, even if the infamous blizzard of 2003 did rip a hole in the roof. So that's the lowdown on Denver Airport, a totally normal, not at all strange airport, just like any other airport, right? Right? Well, no. When you start looking just a little beneath the surface, however, you begin to notice that this airport is wrapped in a host of odd mysteries, suggesting something far more sinister at work. Something they don't want you to know. So let's dive in, shall we? The conspiracy theories surrounding Denver Airport are as varied as they are numerous, ranging from reptilian overlords to satanic doomsday cults. While 1 or 2 of these peculiar claims might be chalked up to mere coincidence, the overwhelming aura of bizarre energy surrounding the airport has convinced many on the internet that a grand cabal is secretly in control. But what exactly is it that makes Denver Airport so strange? Well, to start with, some are absolutely certain that the site of Denver Airport sits on an ancient Native American burial ground, and that this is the reason behind the delays in the construction and the massive budget overspend. Of course it is. We are in Colorado, though, so it's not out of the question. Others contend that, the burial site, not that it caused the delays. Others contend that there has to be a reason to build an airport on a large area like this, and for that much money, that goes beyond mere commercial means. There are many airports with larger capacities that occupy a mere fraction of the area and were built for significantly less. So, what gives? Well, according to those who like to eat lead paint for breakfast, it might have something to do with who started the whole operation in the first place. But wait, you might be thinking, Denver Airport was built by the US government. Well, yes and no. Its construction was a project that involved local, state, and federal government, along with numerous contractors who did the actual work. However, a dive into the archives at the Denver Public Library reveals that during its construction, part of the project was overseen by the, quote, New World Airport Commission. This has led some to assume that the airport was merely a front for the so-called New World Order, a shadowy cabal of elites intent on taking over the planet and molding it in their image. And of course, they would call it after themselves. Right, because that's very secretive. Many believe that such organizations are controlled by Nazis, and that an aerial view of Denver Airport exposes a very familiar pattern in its runways. From what we found, no other airport appears to have runways laid out in this way, which raises a few red flags for those with a more conspiratorial mindset. But alright, if not Nazis, who runs the mysterious New World Order? Well, nobody knows. Some say lizard people, some say the Illuminati, others claim it's Freemasons. And to be fair, that last one might actually have something to it. Back in 1994, just before the Denver airport opened, a time capsule was placed on the site to inform future generations in 2094 about what we were up to at the time. It apparently includes a credit card, a Colorado state flag, a newspaper commemorating the airport's opening day, and various other trinkets and memorabilia. Sounds innocent enough until you notice another little symbol on its headstone, the Freemasons square and compass, which has long been associated with the Illuminati, secret societies, and all of that fun conspiratorial stuff. And that's not all when it comes to the weirdest things being found at Denver Airport. Or should we say, below Denver Airport. Because some believe the chemicals in drinking water turn frogs gay, this vast site might suddenly make sense to them. Why was it so expensive? Why was it so massive? Well, one theory suggests that massive underground tunnel complexes lie throughout the area. One claim is that in addition to the airport's 6 main runways, there are enormous secret runways buried just below the surface, each extending for 4 to 5 miles. It is said that, quote, when the time comes, whatever that means, these hidden runways will be quickly revealed so that large planes carrying all the satanic global elites can land safely and perhaps, I don't know, have a cup of tea or some shit like that. Other underground sections of the airport, which we know exist, here are some pictures, are said to be used for other mysterious purposes. Some claim there might be tunnels connecting the airport to the NORAD air defense facility, located just 90 miles away at Peterson Space Force Base. Others have speculated that the complex serves a variety of functions, ranging from a series of bunkers where elites could hide during an apocalypse, to a secret military facility, or even as a black site prison for individuals that the US government apparently wishes to make disappear. One of these claims must be false, though, because even the Illuminati would find it strange for those 3 distinct groups to all be subterranean neighbors. But if you thought that the airport's odd geography was the extent of its quirks, well, think again. Denver Airport is filled with some of the strangest art ever installed on or around a public building. And look, let's start by talking about that cursed blue horse. Just outside the Debunking terminal stands a striking blue statue of a horse over 10 meters tall with glowing red eyes. It's perfect if you want your children to take a bit of trauma from vacation. Weighing over 4,000 kilograms, the art installation, named Mustang and created by Luis Jimenez, has been menacingly rearing since 2008. It's made of fiberglass, and beyond its eerie appearance, conspiracy theorists claim it is cursed, earning it the nickname Lucifer. And here's the kicker. Maybe it is cursed, because Jimenez didn't actually finish it himself. Back in 2006, a piece of the sculpture fell onto him, severing an artery in his leg, which wound up proving fatal. The sculpture was later completed by his son. If you ask the locals, Lucifer's eyes didn't even start glowing red until the creator had died, which is spooky and probably not true. It's not even the only creepy sculpture to have been on Denver airport grounds. Back in around 2010, a 6.7-meter statue of the Egyptian god of death, Anubis, was erected there. It was removed in 2011, yet it remains another omen of death and the apocalypse, courtesy of Denver Airport. Inside the airport, it somehow gets even weirder. This is an airport, remember, not an eclectic billionaire's art collection or a haunted manor. It's the place where you get ripped off for a bagel and a coffee. You tend to do pretty normal stuff at an airport. You eat something, you sit around, you walk around, and maybe you look at some of the art on display. But if you do that in Denver, you'll find yourself wondering what you're looking at. Denver Airport features a series of murals painted by artist Leo Tanguma. One of these depicts a dark scene. A soldier in a gas mask, equipped with a rifle, is shown stabbing a white dove, a symbol of world peace, with a sword. The soldier appears to be rampaging through a dilapidated city as a grieving mother holds what seems to be a deceased infant. Other children are shown sleeping just beyond the soldier's reach. Another mural appears to show a forest ablaze with dead bodies in coffins and dead animals strewn about or encased in glass while children cry. Doesn't exactly scream, "Yay, we're going to the Bahamas," does it? Many choose to believe that these murals allude to the end of the world and serve as proof that the airport is somehow linked to a fascistic secret society. There's also lettering strewn on the floor that seems to make no sense. Perhaps it's a kind of secret Kabbalist language. Additionally, the floor features the chemical symbols for gold and silver, which makes sense. We're in Colorado, even though this might carry a dark undertone. AUAG, as seen here, could be referencing the Australian antigen, an antigen first found in Australian Aboriginals and used to treat hepatitis B. When combined with the soldier in his gas mask, some have concluded that Denver Airport will become the future epicenter of biological warfare, the world over, because apparently no stretch is too much for a conspiracy theorist. And finally, there are the gargoyles. Yes, this is an airport with gargoyles, as if pilots hitting birds wasn't bad enough. Notre Denver is the name of the art piece, in which 2 gargoyles watch over the baggage claim area, each perched on a Samsonite suitcase, as a wink and a nudge to the old Samsonite factory that operated in Denver until its closure in 2001. There's no conspiracy theory here, it simply contributes to the rather strange energy of the place. So that's it then. According to some, Denver Airport is owned by the New World Order. It's run by sentient aliens looking to harvest our organs through the X-ray machines at security. Oh my, it's haunted by a murderous giant blue horse, and the Illuminati will be running the planet from its underground bases once the apocalypse comes. Right? Well, no. Obviously not, so let's restore some sanity, shall we? You see, almost everything we've mentioned so far in relation to Denver Airport, while 100% true, was missing some key context and details that help explain just why this airport is so strange. This is what conspiracy theories do. They cherry-pick evidence and leave out just enough details to deceive the gullible, and those who long for more control in an uncaring world eat it up. After all, the reality that this Earth is a randomly cruel place is infinitely worse for some than a shadowy organization secretly running things. It's often seen as better to have a malicious hand on the wheel than no hands at all. So let's start by debunking the Denver Airport conspiracy, starting with the questions that send most people down the rabbit hole in the first place. Why is Denver Airport built on such a large site, and why was it completed both late and massively over budget? Well, the latter, because it's a big project, not exactly unique. Let's break it down though. Denver Airport is a truly massive site, and there's no doubt about that. However, we must remember how we got here in the first place and the context in which Denver was built. Stapleton, the airport Denver had before Lucifer's stable, was too small. There simply wasn't enough space to expand it into the air travel hub the state wanted it to become. If Denver was going to serve as a national nexus for passengers across the United States, it needed to be big. The pioneers of the project knew that it wouldn't be enough for the airport to be big merely for the year 1995. It needed to remain functional and spacious for 30, 40, or even 50 years after it was completed. To ensure this, they planned ahead and secured additional land for future expansion, something Stapleton could not offer. Future-proofing isn't a conspiracy, that's just smart planning. And sorry to disappoint you, it wasn't built on an ancient Indian burial ground as far as we know. No native tribes have said anything about the airport falling on spiritually significant ancestral lands in the 30 years since it opened, and you've got to assume something would have been said if that was a concern. Archaeological evidence found during excavation indicated it could have been an old hunting ground though, so maybe that's something, but probably not. As for it being late and expensive, if you've seen any infrastructure project in the last half-century that wasn't a little late and a lot over budget, well, you haven't been following along. This observation helps explain what's happening with those underground areas. When the project was first being built, several buildings on the site either weren't constructed to the right specifications or perhaps weren't in the right place. Instead of demolishing them and starting anew, they were buried and built over, which accounts for some of the underground space. Keep in mind that there was already an underground train connecting the concourses, and they had plenty of spare dirt lying around. Furthermore, underground there once existed an enormous baggage handling network that was supposed to be fully automatic, which makes sense when considering the motivations of those who built the airport. They wanted it to be for mass passenger air travel. But the thing is, it never really worked, and by 2005 it was mostly abandoned. In some images, you can still see remnants of this infrastructure in underground sections that may once have carried the bags on high-up conveyors. It was eventually replaced with a more traditional baggage handling system, a very expensive mistake. Parts of the system also help explain both the construction delays and the metal workers' strike that occurred in the middle of the project. So it's not an end-of-the-world bunker. I mean, it could have been once, or perhaps it was thought of as an emergency site underground of some kind. However, that's just speculation, and we already know that underground doomsday bunkers for politicians and elites exist throughout the world. They tend to be built dozens of meters underneath mountains, where no people can go, not underneath the busiest airport on the planet that surely anybody can just drive up to. Sure, it's close to NORAD, and being in the center of the country, it's well defended, but the longest tunnel in the world is in Norway. It's 15 miles or 24 kilometers long, a full 6 times shorter than the Denver Airport NORAD tunnel would have to be. I'm not saying it couldn't be done, especially for the United States, but it's just not very likely. Much of the conspiracy talk surrounding Denver Airport stems from conflating the New World Order with the New World Airport Commission. Yes, the names are similar, but the same archives that revealed the organization's name also detail its activities. In reality, it was merely a short-lived campaign designed to generate publicity for the airport's construction. Founded in 1986 and dissolved in 1998, its lifespan conveniently coincided with the airport's building period, as if that were its sole purpose. Weird. Its founder, Charles Ansbacher, was a Colorado Springs symphony conductor, and the name was chosen to honor Dvorak's New World Symphony. Considering that the Americas are often referred to as the New World, it's not hard to understand why an airport commissioned in the United States might adopt such a name if the intention was always for the airport to become one of the most important in the New World. You'd also think that the New World Order, if it did exist, would want to be a bit more subtle about their secret Nazi lizard base under Denver Airport. The same could be said for the unfortunate layout of the runways, which some claim forms a swastika shape. Denver is at a high altitude and frequently experiences strong winds from every direction. Logically, if you want to keep the airport functioning, you need to have the runways pointing in various directions. However, any resemblance to a swastika seems like a bit of a stretch. It's hard to imagine a secret society planning everything out only for the design to turn out lopsided and awkward. The inconsistency suggests that the pattern is unintentional. Accidents happen. For example, consider the layout of the Coronado Navy base in California. The difference between that design and Denver's runways is like night and day. Furthermore, the sectional charts and plans for the airport help clear up the confusion. While the airport's shape bears sort of a resemblance to the symbol, any similarity appears to be an unfortunate coincidence, stemming from the human tendency to recognize patterns. We're real good at that. After all, a secret Nazi cabal would likely prefer a symbol less obvious than a swastika. Right there. Super visible. So what about the Freemason symbol? I mean, it's right there on the time capsule, and yeah, it is. Because they created it. I mean, what do you think a Mason is? They carved the stone lid for the capsule and funded its creation in lockstep with both local philanthropic Freemason lodges in Colorado, as well as a common Masonic tradition to include their emblem as part of a public ceremony. There are no secret societies here, and if there were, they wouldn't be putting their branding on things. Alright, but what about the weird art? There's definitely something intriguing about it. After all, the horse did kill someone. Fortunately for skeptics among you, there is an explanation. According to Colorado Public Radio, the artist Jimenez woke up one night to investigate a noise coming from downstairs and was terrified to see a pair of glowing red eyes in his living room. It turned out to be his horse, Blackjack, who'd gotten into the house. I don't know how a horse sneaks into a house, but it ultimately became the inspiration behind the sculpture. Blackjack was also the model Jimenez used for his work, and the blue color was chosen because Blackjack was a blue roan Appaloosa, which tends to have a slightly blue tint. That's cool. I didn't know there were blue horses. The red LED lights that give the sculpture its evil glare are also said to be a homage to Jimenez's own father, who owned a neon science shop when he was young. As for Anubis, it was part of the advertising campaign for the Denver Art Museum, since the Traveling King Tut exhibition was on display there from June 2010 through January 2011. The piece was later removed when the exhibit left town. Okay, but what about the murals and the other art pieces? They surely display a clear indication of the world ending and of secret societies rubbing their grubby little mitts together behind the scenes. Well, again, not really. The murals painted by Leo Tenguma may exhibit some pretty dark and creepy imagery, but they also reveal a flip side. One piece contrasts the soldier in a gas mask with its counterpart, a shattered statue of that same soldier lying on the ground. This symbolizes a global awakening as peace breaks out in the dreams of children. If that's the New World Order we're talking about, I mean, sign me up. Sounds pretty nice. Similarly, the mural depicting a burning forest and dead animals is paralleled by another image showing people from all walks of life rejoicing in nature, living in harmony with the natural world. Tanguma's works are intentionally crafted to illustrate both the world at its worst and its best, ultimately encouraging world peace and nurturing a healthy relationship with the natural environment. The artist himself has said about the works, quote, "I have children sleeping amid the debris of war, and this warmonger is killing the dove of peace. But the kids are dreaming of something better in the future, and their little dream goes behind the general and continues behind this group of people, and the kids are dreaming that peace will happen someday. See how the little dream becomes something really beautiful, that someday the nations of the world will abandon war and come together. It's quite word salady, mate. That's a story of peace and hope, not one marked by the oppression and fear that the satanic New World Illuminati lizards bring. Right? Now, regarding the AUAG symbols, they're clearly a reference to the gold and silver found in the hills that miners have been prospecting for decades. The symbols even appear on a minecart. Forgive the pun, but there is simply no need to dig deeper here. Meanwhile, that so-called secret language, it's not secret at all, it's Navajo. And while the gargoyles might seem odd, they too tie back to the local area through the Samsonite factory. In legend, gargoyles are supposed to watch over everything they can see. It's a slightly unique and tongue-in-cheek way of saying, your bag won't get lost here, we have gargoyles. But there's also plenty of other art throughout Denver Airport that often gets overlooked because the rest of the space is pretty normal in such an unusual place. The reality is, every element of this airport's design isn't a not-so-subtle wink and nudge from a secret society running the world. It's a genuine love letter to the city, the state, and the people who made this place what it is. And that shouldn't be feared. That's pretty beautiful. Even the creepy red-eyed horse. I'm not so sure. Alright, so what's the deal with Denver Airport, really? Is it simply a mix of slightly weird art, some odd design choices, and a few coincidences? Well, basically, yes. There will always be questions about Denver Airport because it stands out too much not to. People have a natural tendency to attribute seemingly random phenomena to something greater. For some, that might be a higher power. For others, it's the conspiracy theories surrounding airports. And Denver Airport has been able to use this to its distinct advantage. Think about it. What are airports all about, really? Tourism. And nothing drives tourism like a good conspiracy theory. It goes even further than that, though. People have ended up flocking from all over the world to come to Denver. But not just Denver, they're coming for the airport, which is pretty wild. The airport's normally part of your vacation that you're just trying to make bearable, the most boring and dull part of the whole trip. In Denver, it's now a tourist attraction, a talking point that everyone who visits via air can relate to. And when you put it that way, it's kind of genius marketing. Denver airport officials have fully embraced the building's quirky reputation by installing maintenance signs that say, apologies for the noise, it takes really big drills to get to the underworld, among other humorous messages. The playful touch shows that they're in on the jokes about secret Illuminati bunkers, underground tunnels, and connections to aliens. Recently, more of these signs have appeared as the Jeppesen terminal undergoes a lengthy remodeling process. The airport's eccentric charm has undoubtedly paid off. Although many initially believed that Denver International would never reach its original design capacity of 50 million passengers per year, it has actually surpassed that goal. In 2024, the airport reached as many as 82 million passengers and is projected to handle 100 million per year by 2035. Fortunately, the original project's visionaries planned ahead with a vast site, giving Denver Airport plenty of room to expand comfortably in the future, a luxury that many other airports will struggle to match or might even need to replace altogether. The current remodeling of the terminal's main hall is set to cost another $2 billion and promises a drastic change that will boost gate capacity by 30% while making the airport safer and more efficient. Now, it's not all roses. Inspections in 2022 revealed that the roof has numerous problems, especially around the cables that hold it in place. The tinted roof is nearing the end of its apparent shelf life and is reported to need replacing before 2030, but we couldn't find any information on whether that work's begun yet. For now, the airport remains under construction, with all work scheduled to be completed by 2027, actually a year earlier than expected, which helps make up for the original airport's late opening after all. We will see about that. But until then, works like Tanguma's murals will remain in storage. My guess is they're probably kept next to the big red button that says launch the nukes and maybe the lizard people's heat lamp. And look, we poked a lot of fun at the inherently ridiculous conspiracy theories and the people who believe them in this video. However, it is important to remember that many people take these kinds of rumors very seriously, and for some, they can affect their entire lives. I mean, it's fun to talk about Joe Biden being a reptile, but don't let that detract you from the fact that this airport, despite being monumentally weird, is a true testament to modern infrastructure. It's a place that witnessed how the rest of the world did basically everything, yet it simply refused to conform. Yes, there are very real conspiracies out there concerning power and the nature of the world. The best ones are so well hidden that only our grandkids' will ever know what they are. But among all these conspiracies, even though some do eventually turn out to be true, you're not going to find any here. Instead, you'll encounter just a proud people, some weird art, and a big blue horse with glowing red eyes.